Hello again, and welcome back to our Let's Play. This is episode number 13, lucky number 13, and today we're going to be looking at our tannery. Ta-da! Not too shabby. I finished it up, at least the outside, like I said I would. Last episode we spent some time building it, and I think maybe I just had the front, but I finished up the side and the back. And I did that by, actually I pulled out this middle piece. It makes it look a lot less flat. And you really don't want to build things too square. I mean, granted it is Minecraft, but if you notice over here we have two rather square buildings or rectangular buildings. So by pulling out this middle piece, it gives it a lot more detail on the side, which is really important because that's going to be where we're seeing it most of the time. Because we're not going to be directly in front of it, we'll be along these roads, and we can see it like that. It also gives the roof a little bit of detail, which is really nice, and it's getting dark, like it does in every one of my, every time I record, it's always getting dark. Oh, I didn't even get a hit here. So I added in some stone brick rather than the cobblestone. It gives it some nice, it looks like it gives it more support, so I went with that and I liked it. And we add in the new flowers, the few mossy cobble I have, just kind of sparingly, and then we added in a little window here, and so if you're walking by, you can kind of see. Oh, look, it's a tannery, it's a leather shop. If you can kind of see it in there, and then I just kind of dressed up the back a little bit. I don't know if I'll keep this side as it is, but I like it so far, so. That's how it stays for now. And then I started to extend the gravel road here to the back. Alright, so that's about all I did off camera, so not a whole lot, but this did take a while. I took it down like 3 times. I had small pieces wrong with it over and over, and it just took a lot of work to get the way I wanted it. But I figure since we finished that up, I don't want to start building again because that's 2 buildings in a row. So I'm thinking what we can do is implement a death counter. And that should be the highlight for today's episode. Nothing too major. And if you're new here, and you have no idea what I'm talking about, or even what I'm doing here, well, I'll have episodes before this if you're curious. But if you want the footnotes, basically we're building a town here. So we got a lovely little bank here. It's kind of complicated. That's where we put all our stuff. We have a tannery for our leather, and then we got 2 residential buildings, and we live in that one there. All right, so I kind of want a death counter. Something really simple, just so when I die, I can have a kind of a way to count automatically. I don't want to do it manually because I'm lazy. So we're just going to do it that way. And I think I came up with a little bit of a design that I like, and I'm going to see if I can fit it in. I don't know how it's going to integrate into a house per se, but we need a way to, first of all, count when we're respawned. That's important. And then we need a way to shut it off temporarily while we go to sleep. Alright, so those 2 things are what we got to handle, and I think I'm going to run to the bank, and then we'll get to that here in a second. So, be right back. Okay, I made it back to the bank, and we're going to need some redstone ore for this project because we're going to make a bud switch. So, bud switch is needed, and if you notice, I can't find any of my emeralds. And I think I know where they went. It turns out that Frank's been not taking a break, he just straight up disappeared on us. Yep, so if you see, completely empty. Oh, what's this? Resignation? Dear chump, ha 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 ha, I've stole your emeralds, Frank. So not only is he a thief, he has bad grammar. Yep, it's just as I thought. Frank wasn't taking a break. and he wasn't even a banker. I should have. It's really my fault. We should have run a background check on him. I was just so eager to get a banker that's what happened. I hired him up without looking at any of his previous history, and I went to the town recently to trade some goods, and it turns out they told me the reason why he was outside is because he was a thief, and they basically just kicked him out to the zombies. So, unfortunately, Frank's made off with all our emeralds, but don't worry, we'll get them back. I have a few strategies in mind, but still, he was our first employee. He didn't even. It's just a shame. All right, so I need more than just a redstone ore. So I'm gonna have to think about this. So let me go grab some stuff, and I will meet you back over there at the bed. Okay, we're gonna sidetrack just a bit. I'm not gonna show you the death counter bed just yet. We will this episode, but I really want to show you the modification I thought up for the bank. It's a little extensive, so I'm going to try to rework it off camera, but I wanted to at least tell you what I'm going to do, because I think it is a rather important upgrade. So let me go do that, and then we'll go right on back. So sorry about the indecisiveness, but we'll get there. We'll get it done eventually. So see you guys here in a second. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is optimizing our bank a little bit. I've thought about my redstone that we made, I think on like episode 5 or something. And it's inefficient, and it's causing me to lag, and it's really putting a dampener on the awesomeness of the whole thing. So I think we're going to be fixing it today. And if you're new here and you have no idea what I'm doing over here, this is our bank. It's our lovely medieval bank. I'm getting some lag. That's not good. And what it does is we have we have some of our storage chests set out here, and you can see that they're sorted. So instead of doing that manually, what we actually do is we run over here and we just drop it in the chest. And it takes it and it filters it, brings it all the way through these back areas, and we have some redstone logic to make sure that they all go to the right spot. Now, I use a vertical dispenser system, and it's rather simple and kind of efficient, but it's not efficient enough. It turns out that, I could be wrong, but hoppers can move a block every half second. And what that boils down to is the vertical dispensers move an item up slower than that. So what happens is we get slower input. So basically this extra speed that the hopper line has is just wasted. So that's one thing. We want to be able to speed that up to get the stuff through there quicker. That means less time that's going to be lagging. And it turns out that, let's start. One of the reasons why it's lagging is simply because it's going slow enough to where, it's going slow enough to where there are pistons are able to actually update the pistons can actually update their state, so they're actually extending and retracting really fast. Every item that passes through that needs to be filtered, there's a piston extending and retracting for it. But if we can speed it up, it's going to be too fast for the piston to update itself, so it won't update itself, and it'll be the same with the redstone. The redstone won't flicker, and that should actually reduce a lot of our lag. So I think what we're going to be doing is, well, I sat around for a while, and I thought of a way to remove the redstone clock we have and the vertical dispensers, and it's a lot more efficient. And I'm gonna jump over there. I already tried to explain it once if you can see where I started. So I'm going to jump over there and hopefully get it all sorted. Okay, I went ahead and built it because it's easier to explain if I'm not building at the same time. So let me just show you what it is. It's actually pretty resource friendly too, so I'm really happy about that. And not to mention, I just think this design's a lot cooler than the vertical dispensers. So this is our chest. This will be the new chest that this is the chest that's next to the banker window. And this thing represents the hopper line itself. It doesn't have to be flat, it can be way up in the air or whatever, because we can do movement with the mine carts. So I'm gonna put it here. And that's about all we need to actually do. So if you notice, this rail here is on when there's nothing in it. So when it's empty, it's gonna try to push a minecart out and bring it over here. So that's what this comparator does. It actually checks, and then when it starts getting items in it, it turns this off and then turns this guy on. So let me just show you. Do the red wool, and it's pushed it over, and it's emptying, as you can see. When it's empty again, it's gonna push it over here, and this guy will turn off, and it's emptying. And that's effectively what we need to do. Now we actually do need a second one in there. The second one is because they're kind of swapping places. So I put one here, and the next time I trigger this, I put in some spider eyes, this one gets kicked. And that one didn't get kicked. Okay, so that's an important thing I need to kind of show you, is why that actually happened. If you notice over here, we're kind of taking advantage of how minecarts or mine tracks actually lay down. We need to do that here too. So what I need to have is this thing needs to turn in like so. And when we place down this powered rail here, it's going to have a favored position, which is not that way. That's not the way I want it. Let's retry that. There's its favored position. And we really want it to stick that way. That's not good. And then we're in a diamond. Said yeah, so if you're new, I have an chest every time I say I gotta put a diamond in it, and then waste it later on. So what we really need is, even though this thing turned on with a minecart on top, it didn't move it. And it doesn't move it because you really have to have a block behind it, and then when it's over here, then it moves. So let's just try to get this thing angled proper. That's what I really want. So that's fine. What I really, really need is for when I place this guy down, it doesn't try to twist it. And let's just replace this one too. Okay. So, that's an issue. Maybe if I have something behind it, it will play nice. Nope. Okay. So now I gotta figure out how I did that. Because like this one, we want it to stay angled right here. And it's picking that over it because of my... I'm not too sure. Give me 1 second and I will figure it out. Alright, I got it all fixed. So it turns out what I was doing wrong was that the rails seem to prefer the it looks like east to west direction. With the exception of this guy here, and I think it's because I laid him down first, and he's kind of boxed in a special way to where it's not affecting it. But so you can see how this guy connects, right? This means that when it comes along this track here, it pops and then reorients itself. But since it's against this wall, it should take off when this thing gets powered. So what's actually going to happen is it's going to get dark on us, but it should now try to swap the two out when I put something in it. So just like that. See, he went back to the kind of the passive spot, and then he got loaded up, and then he got sent off, and now he's sitting there against the thing. And this can repeat. As it takes all the items in, just like that. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I think it's really clever, and it saves a lot of the flickering that the vertical dispensers actually cause. So we can remove a lot of that flickering, and yeah, I just like it. I think it's very good. Mainly because if I extend the floor upwards at all, right through there, I'm thinking about making a miniature. Basically taking the same design, shrinking it a bit, and then stacking it. Maybe doing some decoration here on the corners. But if I do that, all of the dispensers are going to have to be extended. And that's more lag, so I think it's a really nice way to do it. And that ought to cover that. I'm going to do it off camera though, and show you all the benefits that we get out of it. But I hope you enjoyed the redstone at least. I like to do them occasionally, and I think this is a nice simple thing, but definitely very useful. So alright, I guess I will see you guys in a bit, and we'll get back to the episode. Okay, so before we go back to the episode, there's one more thing I want to test, and that's going to be its robustness. So now normally we're not going to be able to load more things into this chest than normal. I mean, more things than this single chest can hold, because that will require us to completely empty all of our contents, then go grab some before this thing is done, and then reload it. Okay? So, but I want to see what happens if we actually do that. So let's go ahead and let's fill this minecart completely full. And actually no, I know what'll happen. It'll actually lock it down. See, it's stuck. Nothing's filling. Nothing's changing. Okay, so I guess that's one of the downsides. If you want to guarantee that it works, you're gonna want to extend it down a little bit more, and then you can put a big chest in between it. I think that would cover it. So put a hopper, then a double chest, and then another hopper, and then that hopper pushes into there. That way you can have the capacity, just in case you're on a multiplayer server and you for some reason want to implement this thing. And that way we can actually fill up the items and fill up the chest full items, and then someone else can come along and they don't have to worry about it breaking it. Alright, so here we go. Yep, so that's what happens. So back to the episode now. Okay, now that we're back working on the death counter, I've run into a few issues, and they're actually, I'm not really sure how to deal with it. But as you can see, we've been working with the bud switch stuff for our bed, so we can actually, when we spawn, we can get the counter for our death counter. And I think we're gonna have an issue putting it into a house, because it's gonna be kind of bulky, and it's gonna be really hard to hide if you go into the room. So I'm thinking that we're not gonna put it into one of these houses. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm thinking a good place we can put it is right here. This is our town center, and we got this nice square area where I can I can actually build in underneath the road here. And we can have the death counter be in here. We can have the bed be in there, so it's completely safe. Nothing can damage it. And that'll give us room so we can hook up our death counter to some other stuff too. So I'm thinking we're going to be able to hook it up to where we can walk over, or when we spawn, it'll open the door here somewhere to the side. And we can walk out, and when we walk out, it'll re-trigger it and shut it off. So that's what I'm thinking we're going to have. Or maybe, since we're using... Here, I'll just show you the butt switch now. If you're not interested in redstone, yeah, that's quite unfortunate because this episode's just filled with it. I'm sorry, but it's just filled with it. But it's got some really, really cool stuff going on. So let me see if I can just kind of showcase it. Now, what we're going to have happen is this is our spawn point. So let me put a carpet on it. There. So we spawn in our bed, and naturally I think you fall just to one side of it and you'll land on it. As you can see, it actually kicked out our thing, and then when it shut off, it didn't re-kick it. So the T-bud, or it's a T flip-flop and a bud switch at the same time, actually it lets us remember that it's on and not re-trigger the dispenser. So one item comes out per spawn, which is exactly what we want. Now, what this actually means is I can't sleep in other beds. Otherwise, I'm going to move my spawn location, and we can't have that. And on top of that, it's going to be kind of hard to reset it from day to night. So I'm going to have to figure something out about that. But I think the only solution, at least for vanilla, is don't sleep. So I'll try to record during the day when I get it, but that's going to be like an added difficulty for us. Now, that's one part of it. As I was building this thing, and that's really all we really need for this is just a dispenser. We can put an item in it, and whatever gets dispensed, we can see what the count is that way. It's a nice simple way to do it. We don't have to build a counter or anything. So let me get rid of this. Alright. So the other thing I noticed with this T-bud is it has a really, really, really bizarre behavior. And it has to do with this guy right here. And I'm thinking we can do this to build some secret areas in our town. Because this thing is just... I'm just baffled by it, and I don't understand why it works this way, but I think it's really cool. I can put items all along here, nothing happens. I can get rid of them, nothing happens. So it looks completely normal. I can make this flush against a wall, but the moment I set down some redstone and bust it, it re-triggers the button. On top of that, if you see that indent there, if I walk along here and put in redstone, it re-triggers it. I don't know what to say to this. It's just completely crazy. I put in wool block and pop it, nothing happens. I put in a block of redstone, nothing happens. I put in just something on the ground, nothing happens. I've tilled this thing and nothing happens. But redstone just completely works. And that's just really, really cool. I thought you can see that it powers just a split second. Right there. This one doesn't look like it powers, so I'm not really sure why that works. But this one powers just a split second before, so I thought that putting in a power block would make it work, but doesn't seem to be the case. So that's really, really, really neat. This is going to be my go-to butt switch. It's really simple to do, even if you don't understand how it works. Just building one is very useful. So it's just going to be 2 blocks with a space, and then a sticky piston and a block right there. And then block on top, repeater, and then a little loop of redstone. And on top of that, underneath this guy, there's a torch. That's all you need. Now, if you want to change the state, right now it's a T-bud, so that means that it remembers the state of it maintains the state it was in instead of just resetting instantly. if we drop the repeater down to the low setting, it just simply becomes a butt switch. So lots of uses. That's really just, this is an absolutely brilliant looking design. I pulled this off the wiki, so it's not like I went around and made it. Alright, so I think that covers this guy. I think the next thing we're going to try to do is just start digging out this area. We'll put in a bed, we'll do all that good stuff, and then we'll hook up a door here to the side. Alright, so I guess I'm going to start that. And yeah, I don't think, let me empty my inventory and get my stuff. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Okay, so I don't think we're going to get to the physical building of our death counter, but we can at least plan it out. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do in between now and our next episode. So, like I said, I'm going to place it here in the square. I think it's a nice way to do it. And instead of putting a door, because I believe I said that I was going to put in a door here to the side that would open up, change of plans. In my old world that I played before we had this lovely place, I had a hidden staircase built into one of my big structures. And what it would do was you could hit a button and it would open up the stairs. And we'd have a stairs that would let us walk down into it, and then we could hit a button and it would seal back up. So I think we're going to implement that here. I think we have enough room for it, and we don't have to have any side doors, and I think it's just neat. I don't actually know what this wall is going to look like eventually. I doubt it'll be so plain. We'll probably etch in some kind of design or fill it with grass, or it'll be something. So I don't think a door to the side will be too appropriate. But we're going to have, I'll do that in between episodes. Mainly because it is rather complicated and it's not my design. I don't like to just build things on camera that aren't really mine. Or at least things that I've thought of originally. It's not like I own them or anything, right? But, so I'll build that in between because it's rather complicated. If you're wanting to build it in your own world, I will link the description. I will link the video in the description. Because he does a really good job of explaining it. And I also need to get some slime balls, because I have no way to get them. I haven't seen a swamp yet. And that's not true. Actually, when we first spawned, we were in a swamp. No, we were near a swamp. Yeah, so I don't have a way to really get slime balls. So I've got to find some. I'm going to hope that they spawn occasionally in my mines. So I might just be waiting around a really long time for those guys. So I need to get some of those because it does require sticky pistons. And yeah, I think on our next episode we'll just build the bed and we'll decorate this area. And we'll set up the death counter, which we already have the butt switch for it. So we'll do all that good stuff and we'll figure out how to hook it up to our counter. I have decided though for our counter we're going to use I'm already wasting enough diamonds. I think I have to watch back and see if I've said So that's gonna be one thing. I think I will leave I'll put something cheap in the counter down here because I die a lot, so I don't want to be putting in diamonds into that too. But I think it'll be really neat. That way when we die, it'll open up the staircase while the redstone's activated. And it'll increment the death counter, and then we can leave. And then in a random amount of time, whenever the redstone turns off, we'll have it reset. Alright? So I think that's what we're going to be doing. I think that'll be pretty cool. But I think I'm going to end the episode here. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.